Okay, here's part two. We're going to write our skeleton in our bottom two voices. Now, why did I pick the bottom two voices? Well, I like to think in terms of bass. I'm a bass player professionally, so I happen to have an affinity and an understanding of bass lines. But also, I'm really of the opinion, and this does not have to do with me being a bass player, maybe, but I believe that the bass voice sets the tone. I believe that it's up to the bass voice in its movement and its note selection to define the playground that the other notes get to play in, for lack of a better term. I just really believe the bass line drives the bus. So I like to start with the bass voice, and then I'm going to use the middle voice as my second voice. So you might call this bass and tenor. Well, in our case, it's cello and viola. So our first chord is the one chord. Let's get started. One thing that I'm really trying, I'm setting a boundary for myself. So I want these first two voices to determine, to voice out the root and the third of each chord. Why? Well, the root tells you what the chord is. C, tonic C, it's a C chord. And the third tells you major or minor. Really important things. I'm not going to mess with the fifth at the moment with these two voices. I'm going to see if I can establish root and third voicing utilizing what we've learned about Cantus Firma. And the big thing about Cantus Firma that we're dealing with here is counter motion is always great. And since we're sticking with roots and thirds, we're not going to have any forbidden intervals showing up here. Like parallel fifths, parallel fourths, things of that nature. And the other thing is that it's going to sound pretty. And the last thing is I want to do this in a way that I follow the really basic rule. And the big thing I've discovered is that if something doesn't sound right, I'll bet you did this wrong or you messed this up. If a voice skips down, it should step up. If a voice skips up, it should step down. The only exception to this rule should be if your skip is a third, then you can step in the same direction. But if it's greater than a third, skip up, step down, skip up. You're going to see I'm going to run into a problem with that here shortly. And we'll see if we can, how we're going to work around it. But here we are, part two. First chord's a one chord. So it's a C chord. So that means a root and a third of a C chord is a C and an E. I decided to start with my E in the bass. Now, there's a reason I did this, because I know in the melody up here, the melody, it's already on a tonic, a C. So I want to put the third in the bass, and also when you put a third in a bass part, it softens the chord up. It's not so big and definite and bombastic. You put a third in the bass, it's gentle and soft. Right? So I'm going to put a third there, which means then that the tonic is going to be reserved for my viola voice, or tenor voice if you want to call it that. Next chord's a five chord. Well, this C up here wants, if it has an opportunity, it wants to fall back to a B. Why? Because B is a half step away from C. It's a leading tone. So the G chord has a B in it, right? So it makes sense for this C to fall back to the B, rather than make this E here jump all the way up to a B. So if this falls back to a B, that's a third of a G chord. What's the tonic? Well, G. G. So I'll go from E to G, C to B. All right? Cool. Now let's go down and take a look at the next couple measures. We were at a B on the viola. And the next chord's an A minor chord. See that up here? A minor. Well, that's the case, then what's a third of an A minor chord? Well, it's a C. Well, the B, it wants to go back to C. It's only half step away. It's drawn towards a C. C is kind of drawn towards the B. Well, if that's the case, then that means if the C is a third of the minor chord, then I have to put the root in the bass. And we're good there because the previous note was a G. Stepwise motion. There ain't no skipping, jumping around. And then we come to the four chord, and this is where the problem is. This A in the bass voice, well, that happens to be the third of the next chord, so I left it there. I did leave it there. Which means then that the other voice has to have an F in it. Now, what's the problem you see here? I skipped from the C down to an F. It's a fourth. And C, B, actually, A, G, F, right? Fourth? And I have 5 fingers up. How'd that work? Fourth. So that means that if I skip down, I should be stepping up. So you would think, okay, well then this note should be up to a G. I don't want to do that for a couple reasons. First of all, F to G, A to C. See how they're moving in the same direction? I'm moving into a parallel fifth. I really don't want to do that. Really don't want to do that. It's going to sound ugly. So what I did is, if the A is here, which is the third of the F chord, I'm going to put the tonic of the F chord here. And then the last chord is a C chord, a 1 chord. There's the root. That means this has to be an E. So this F to E is good. I'm just dissatisfied with the C down to the F and then continuing to step down. This should be stepping up. So we're just going to put an asterisk by that right now. We're going to come back to it later. But let's, first of all, the most important test to me at the beginning is if I'm on track with this, then these notes I just played should sound good with the melody. So let's find it. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, I'm good with that. Knowing that this is not set in stone. Now, the next part, what we're going to do is I'm going to start working just with the bass voice, and we're going to add some motion, some movement to it, and we're going to see how things change up, and at that point, we will start to, we're going to have to change things, as you can see. All right, so get ready for part 3. Part 3. Mr. G out.